Part 2. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 11. A cluttered storage room. In a dim and dustless environment, a bright oil lamp was shining. The girl with eyes averted her gaze, staring ahead with a solemn expression. About 5 or 6 meters ahead, I saw a corpse with its back to the door. What was even more horrifying was that the corpse's front face was also facing the door. It was a pale face without any wounds. Thin, with sunken eyes. A charming smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The girl with eyes didn't dare to move, she didn't dare to take a breath, and she just let the cold sweat break out. After a minute, Muja's 180-degree twisted head reset. The girl with eyes breathed a sigh of relief and moved her stiff body. This monster's killing pattern is very simple. It's not that you will die if you turn around. That's not the difficulty of a 1-star dungeon. But dynamic killing. Just like the 1-2-3 wooden man. As long as he doesn't move when Chui turns around, he can avoid being targeted by Chui. But this approach will not last long. She found that every time Chui turned around, his body would also shift. In just a few minutes, half of his body was already tilted over. Once fully turned around, it's a walking Medusa. They will be destroyed here. Crunch. The door to the storage room was opened. Is this trick? A voice came. The girl with eyes was shocked, she was the senior player with the highest level. If he dares to break in, he will find a way. Yes, his level of terror is not very high now. Even ordinary people can survive. But after a few more rounds, when he turns around completely, he may become a ghost in white. This is already the level of difficulty for a 2-star copy. The girl with glasses tells everything she knows, revealing some secrets of the supernatural circle. Interesting. Shen Jian spoke. Li Gui also has levels of terror, he knows this. But he has only seen 2 white-clothed level monsters so far. One is the cracked girl from the villa of the past, and the other is the sick ghost from the Ping An Hotel. Those 2 tricksters were the staff of the dungeon, and he couldn't take them away. But he thought he could give this one a try. Conversation room. Gui turned around. The corpse was twisted at a weird angle. This was an angle that was absolutely impossible for humans to twist. It was clear that the corpse was still facing away from them, but its face had been rotated. He showed his charming smile again and stared at the glasses girl and Shen Jian in the room. The lower body has shifted a lot of curvature. It was almost half-turn at this point. The 2 eyeballs are also moving. As he turned around, he found that Shen Jian seemed to be closer to him. Miu Miu's smile froze. I always feel like something bad will happen later. He resets again. Looking forward to looking back next time. Soon. It's hide and seek time. He turned around 180 degrees. Shen Jian was already standing less than 2 meters away from the body. If he took 2 more steps, he might be able to touch the body. Sly. Aye girl. Good guy, do you really think he is a 1-2-3 wooden person? Senior players have big hearts. According to descriptions in the paranormal circles, people who have participated in horror games have extremely active mental attitudes. A beautiful woman is changing her clothes, and a normal person would peek at her. People who have participated in horror games are likely to start directly by stripping off the other party's clothes, taking out the monkey rubber band from the pants, making it into a slingshot, and then using it to shoot the other party's glass. Although it is a bit exaggerated, it turns out that the higher the level, the more eccentric the temperament of the boss players. He often does things that ordinary people cannot understand. Chui couldn't understand. He was confused. He felt that if he turned around again, the other party would directly grab his head. The trick resets again. Shen Jian also started to take steps. But as soon as his front foot was put down, Goi turned around again. The interval is less than 2 seconds. Turn around. Look back. Repeat this action. There is a break of less than a second. Weird CPU is burning. The turning head almost couldn't turn around. Shen Jian couldn't hold himself any longer. He has always been the only one who cheated, but when did Goi dare to cheat in front of him? He returns to action. Walk straight towards Qi. This triggers a killing pattern. Wei turned around completely, leaving long streams of blood at the corners of his sunken eyes, and a strange smile appeared at the corners of his mouth, which was bright red. Bloody mouth. This is a real mouthful. It makes one wonder whether the human mouth can be opened wide enough to swallow an entire head. Snapped. Shen Jian went over with a big dick. The bloody mouth shrank back to its original size as if deflated. Mu Gui. He refused. Opening his bloody mouth again. I'm giving you face, right? You're making trouble with me. Shen Jian frowned, punched, kicked, and educated with sticks. It's so tricky, you have to give it a good beating first, otherwise it won't obey you. Be honest after the fight. After a severe beating, Mu Gui has no power to parry. The ghost rope is attached. Lift it up. The 3 corpses were hung up in the air. The girl with glasses was completely confused. It's just 1 level lower. Is the gap already so big? Players guarding outside poured in. Seeing that Shen Jian had imprisoned the last sly, everyone looked excited. Then he searched the room. Apart from the clutter, I found a photo. The photo shows a couple. The man corresponds to the 3rd corpse, and the woman is a pregnant woman with a slightly bulging belly, already 3 or 4 months old. The lean young man analyzed, the identity is indeed correct. There are only 2 last questions left. Did the man commit suicide or homicide? What was the cause of death? It was homicide. The cause of death was poisoning. The girl with glasses is categorical. I smelled chemicals coming from the mouth of the 3rd body. The thin young man frowned, isn't this more likely to be suicide? The girl with eyes was silent for a moment and glanced at Shen Jian. She was a little confused, but she still confessed, I have a supernatural prop that can predict 3 clues of the copy. Everyone was stunned. No wonder he hesitated. Such a powerful supernatural prop will make everyone excited. It means one more life. Can avoid dangers that ordinary people cannot imagine. What's the clue? Shen Jian asked. The girl with eyes said quickly, the first is 3 homicides, the second is don't stop the car, and the third is the number 4. Clue 1, 3 homicides. Clue 2, don't stop. Clue 3, number 4. 3 corpses, 3 homicides, corresponding. Don't stop. I kind of know what it is, but what does the number 4 mean? Wang Chen said doubtfully. Others were also confused. Don't know the direction yet. But this doubt was quickly suppressed. Because all the questions in the questionnaire have been solved. Next, they only need to transport the body back to the funeral home and hand in this questionnaire. They can obtain the identity of the funeral home staff through the copy of Supernatural Funeral Home. This is a special reward for the copy. Very rare. It will undoubtedly be of great use in the future. Everyone is excited. Bask in the joy of this moment. In the darkness, Shen Jian stared at an oil lamp in the storage room. The wick burns very slowly. The base is full of lamp oil. It has a very special smell when burning. Like corpse oil. This is not a supernatural prop, but after the corpse oil is ignited, the smell will attract evil spirits, and its effect is no less than that of ordinary supernatural props. He brought it with him. This special copy is really full of tricks. If you are missing something next time, come to the special copy to restock it. Shen Jian thought secretly. Several people returned to the front desk of Ping An Hotel. The sick man smoked dry cigarettes and puffed out clouds. A face that was still recovering from a serious illness looked at Shen Jian cautiously. "Master, what do you mean by reaching out?" He was confused and didn't know what Shen Jian was doing by stretching out his hand. Snapped. Shen Jian gave the sick ghost a headache. He said angrily, "Have you forgotten what I do so quickly?" The sick ghost said weakly, "Master, aren't you a player?" "Guess again." "Funeral home staff." "Guess again." "I'm a robber, I know what to do." Sick ghost. "I'm super, I dare to love you, I'm not just talking about it. It's so insulting. I am a very clever person. If I am robbed, how can I survive in the horror world in the future? I am the owner of a safe hotel, a very sick man. Oh, master, don't hit me. I'll give it to you." The sick man howled. Squatting in the corner, crying without tears. He opened the cash register and handed over the thriller coin. "You have received 3,000 horror coins from the sick ghost." Shen Jian pouted. 3,000? You are too shabby. Don't slack off like this next time. I will come and collect it next time. Before leaving, Shen Jian said earnestly. And gave the goals for the next quarter as motivation and encouragement. "Well, I don't want more, just 5,000. I think you can easily complete this amount of turnover. My friend, you are a real genius. I have always believed that. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 12. Shen Jian walked out of the hotel with satisfaction. The sick man looked as if he had been tortured beyond recognition, squatting in a corner and thinking about life alone. The other players looked pitiful. Pitiful. So pathetic. For the first time in their lives, they felt so pitiful. It's almost drained. Everyone walked into the funeral car. It's very spacious inside. The layout is quite different from that of a bus. But all eyes were focused on the driver's seat. This location is the most important. The second clue that the girl with eyes predicted was, "Don't stop the car." The one I want to talk about is the hearse. I have heard of the taboos about hearses. One of them is that they cannot stop. Firstly, it is disrespectful to the deceased. Secondly, it will be disadvantageous to future generations. Therefore, no matter what the situation, the hearse cannot stop. Wang Chen opened his mouth and talked about the customs he knew. Everyone silently looked at the three hanging ghosts. Disrespectful to the deceased. It seems like there was no respect from the beginning. No need to argue, I'll do it. Shen Jian got into the driver's seat. Because he discovered that this hearse turned out to be a ghost. Harvest add 1. Yin Qi increases speed plus. Seeing Shen Jian speak, the others stopped arguing and each chose a seat to sit down. Shen Jian glanced at the operating table. He frowned. The hearse could not start at all, and all the indicator lights on the dashboard were off. The only things that can be operated are gas and brakes. The steering wheel can also be fine-tuned, and the buttons for getting in and out of the car can also be operated. But the process of controlling the hearse is a confrontation. It's not scary enough to drive this hearse. In just a moment, Shen Jian understood the characteristics of this hearse. The hearse started hitting the road without warning. It's like walking along a specific route. The speed is neither too fast nor too slow, always maintaining 30 yards. Shen Jian let go of the steering wheel and thought about what would happen if he stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. Just then, there was a trick blocking the way. The fierce ghost's face was livid and his whole body was wet, as if he had just been fished out of the water. Deception is blocking the road. Everyone was shocked. They all stood up. The reminder of Clue 2 is still fresh in my mind. Gui blocked the road, trying to stop the hearse and hinder their progress. This is the second difficulty of the copy. Side mission 1 has been unlocked, send the drowned ghost to the funeral parlor, can be completed. Task tips, completing side tasks can improve the settlement evaluation and obtain a higher position in the funeral home. Scarlet Panel confides. Side missions unlocked. Shen Jian learned that side missions can only be triggered in special copies. The more side tasks you complete, the more generous the settlement rewards will be. It's a trap. The eyes are awe-inspiring. The clues indicate that you cannot park, but if you want to complete the side mission, you must park and let the drowned ghost come up. The two are fundamentally contradictory. The game is misleading us and wants us to die here without parking. Shen Jian. Wang Chen said weakly, the car seems to have stopped. Aye girl. When she saw the hearse stop, her heart was messy. These two completely different rules look like traps at first glance. Why were you fooled? Let's not talk about what will happen if a resurrected car is allowed to get into the car. Simply stopping the car may have fatal effects. Yes. Fatal. Because her prediction tool can only predict the 3 biggest dangers in the dungeon. These dangers are all related to trickery. Encountering any one of them is a fatal crisis. Soon. The hearse stopped. The front door was opened. The drowned man came up wet. Every time I take a step, there will be a pair of wet footsteps on the car. Mom. Everyone's hair stood on end. This is a living monster that has revived. The level of terror is beyond what players like them can deal with. Once the killing pattern is triggered, no one in the car will be spared. Their fear threshold is at its highest. I just feel like the blood is flowing to the top of my head. At this time, the drowned ghost also completely stepped onto the hearse. At first glance, he saw 3 of the same kind hanging in the air. His head was hung up by a red ghost rope and stopped in mid-air, rolling his eyes. As if despising him. Drowned ghost. His breath of terror stagnated. Retreat subconsciously. Bang. The front door was closed at this time. He was trapped in the hearse. He was so cunning, why did he think that he was trapped? Shouldn't it be a case of indiscriminate killing behind closed doors? This guest, please take a seat, the train is about to leave. From the driver's seat, Shen Jian's voice sounded. The drowned man paid no attention. He was going to find a human to play with and show off his majesty as a trickster. Please sit tight. Shen Jian reminded again. The drowned man continued to walk on the hearse, leaving traces of water all over the ground. What the hell, you can't understand human speech, can you? Shen Jian stood up, left the driver's seat, slapped the drowned man on the back of the head, and said with a kind face, if I see you moving again, I will kill you. The drowned ghost was dumbfounded. Are all drivers like this now? Assault on passengers? He wants to complain. He must file a complaint against this damn driver. Let him be punished. The drowned ghost thought fiercely. I found a seat nearby and sat down. Take back the water on your body. This is my car. If it's dirty, I'll let you lick it clean. Shen Jian cursed. Drowned ghost. The fist became hard, and his fist became hard again. This is the Overlord car. Next time he won't sit down until he dies. Let this driver lose his job and starve to death. The drowned ghost thought viciously again. Then he became motionless, and no more drops of wet water fell from his body. Just like a normal passenger. Players. The girl with glasses blinked, maybe, the weirdness is really not scary. Shen Jian returned to the driving seat, the hearse started again, and set off again. It was quiet inside the car. It was so quiet that the only sound was the player swallowing. 5 minutes passed. The hearse moved forward steadily. Another sly blocked the way. It seemed like he was blocking a car, or he wanted to take a ride. The devil was dressed in rags, but his body was a bit bloated, and he also wore a tattered straw hat made of weeds, like an old farmer. Trigger Side Mission 2, Send the Old Farmer to the Wilderness, can be completed. Task Tips, complete all side tasks to obtain an S-level evaluation. Note, the hearse has an upper limit and cannot be fully loaded. Another side mission triggered. Full of Temptation. S-level, this is the highest rating for a thriller game. Every player who can complete the S-level evaluation is a master of horror games. According to rumors, there will be special rewards after completing the S-level evaluation, which can affect subsequent development. But the task was simply impossible. After all, no one knows the consequences of deviating from the established path. What's more, no one knows where the wilderness is. The safest thing to do is to ignore. Drop. The hearse stopped. The front door is open and the car is parked on the roadside waiting for passengers. Everything looks very normal as taking a bus. It's just that this isn't the real world. The person who got on the bus was not a human being, but a charlatan. Players. Tired? Destroy it? As soon as the old farmer stepped onto the hearse, he saw Shen Jian's smiling face. Welcome, I am the driver of this hearse. Please get in as soon as possible. The door will be welded, closed. The old farmer's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly I didn't want to sit down. Especially on the front seat, one of its kind was shaking its head desperately. That Abba look looks very pitiful. Kind of like being hijacked? The old farmer slowly made a question mark. His thoughts of hitching a ride were quickly extinguished. Forget it, let's go back. Warning, Weigui has temporarily changed his mind and side mission 2 has been cancelled, please trigger it again. The scarlet panel begins to prompt. Shen Jian was slightly startled. The bright smile that made anyone feel at home, and that made it hard for anyone to find fault, faded away. Weird thoughts can actually trigger missions in a thriller game. Can already published tasks be aborted? Suddenly he had some bold ideas. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 13. Side Mission 2 is cancelled, please trigger it again. Scarlet Panel confides. All players were stunned. No matter what, the triggered tasks can be cancelled. While they thought it was ridiculous, they also breathed a sigh of relief. At least, this monster won't get into the car. Riding in a car with Wei Tong was definitely the most terrifying experience in their lives. The old farmer turned around, but was stopped by Shen Jian. A hand was placed on the body of this strange creature that was moving a little stiffly. Pulled it back abruptly. Sly. Shen Jian smiled and said, Guest, what do you mean by turning around now? Are you saying that my service attitude is not good? Please sit tight, this will definitely be the most amazing driving trip you have ever had. Shen Jian couldn't help but force the old farmer into his seat. But after waiting for a long time, there was no prompt on the task panel. His expression grew increasingly displeased. The force pressing on the old farmer's body became stronger and stronger. Guest, I sincerely take you here, why do you look so reluctant? You are making it seem like you are forcing me to do something difficult for you. Drowned ghost. Is not it? Do you have no idea what you are doing? You almost raised your fist, and you asked us if we were unwilling? Of course we are. I am willing. The old farmer's momentum weakened. Because he found this human being untouchable. Side Mission 2, Send the Old Farmer to the Wilderness, can be completed. Note, the hearse has an upper limit and cannot be fully loaded. Impressed by Shen Jian's warm greeting, the old farmer rekindled the idea of going home. The ideas are stronger than ever. He wants to go home. Standing in the endless wilderness. Instead of being forced to sit motionless in the seat. So embarrassing. The old farmer raised his head and seemed to be saying, "Brother, it's time to let me go. Humans and ghosts cannot be kissed." Shen Jian frowned. Looking at the panel flashing before his eyes, he was a little dissatisfied. Whether he can complete the tasks in the thriller game or not, it has no effect on him. Whether it's an S-level rating or a D-level rating, he doesn't care too much. After all, his main purpose is to capture the ghosts and return them to fill the 18 levels of hell and obtain yin qi. By the way, look for suitable confiscation in the copy. Then rely on the ability of Sen Luo's ghost energy to increase the yin energy. There is not much reliance on thriller games. But he felt that since they were all adults, why should he choose one or the other instead of having both? Thinking of this, Shen Jian stared at the old farmer. "I think you really want to go to the funeral parlor now." Old farmer. "No, I don't want to at all. I just want to go home." The old farmer's bloated body began to shake. Ears of wheat sprouted from his body, like a scarecrow standing in a field. The face began to turn into straw, revealing a strange and pale smile. Everyone was shocked. That smiling face was obviously just an arc trace drawn by straw, but it seemed to be really laughing, emitting a weird, permeating laugh. The laughter could not be described in words. It was sharp, weird, creepy. Then, they found that the corners of their mouths were also rising. At this moment, everyone was horrified. Imitation of strange movements is a taboo in the paranormal circle. This means they are affected. The strange murderous pattern affects them. This is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you may trigger a fatal curse. They tried their best to suppress the lips that they wanted to raise. I have gone through all the sad things I can think of in my life. But the effect is minimal. The corners of their mouths are still rising. It's over. The idea just came up. Shen Jian's hand has already grasped the opponent's fate. "Are you laughing at me? How dare you? Cry." At that moment, the scarecrow's smile really faded a bit. His smile cannot infect the people in front of him. Can it no longer bring people happiness? His smile faltered. Because Shen Jian's hand grabbed his throat harder and harder. He cried. His eyes widened and his smile dropped. It is exactly the same as the second to last expression in the second column of the emoticon pack. "Tisk, it's too ugly to cry. Please recover. I still like your simplicity at the beginning." Shen Jian was full of disgust. He let go of his hand. The ears of wheat on the scarecrow are also disappearing. He became the old farmer wearing a straw hat again. "Do you want to go to the funeral parlor now? I just want to burn the wheat ears on my body and fix my hair." Shen Jian's smile remained the same. "Old farmer. Side mission has been changed. Side mission 2, escort the old farmer to the funeral parlor, can be completed. Task tips." After seeing the mission prompt on the game panel, Shen Jian was finally satisfied. He thoughtfully swept away the wheat ears from the old farmer's ragged sleeves and gave him a heartwarming smile. The old farmer had a stiff expression on his face, not knowing whether he was crying or laughing, and sat motionless in his seat. Many players also escaped death. My mood is like a roller coaster, with ups and downs. They were completely convinced. No matter what posture Shen Jian puts into, they won't move him. After all, this ruthless brother even changed the game tasks. The next time I hit someone with my car, they wouldn't react. "Passengers, please sit tight, we are about to drive." Shen Jian returned to the driver's seat. The driver returned and the hearse started again. Driving swaying on the side of the road. This is an extremely absurd road. There is no one on the street. The surrounding architectural style tends to be that of a small county town, with neat two-story small flat buildings. There were no fireworks, and the sky was almost gray and white. But there are extremely bright red lanterns hanging, which are the only color on this street. Everyone is Han-chan. It's like walking in a ghost county. Drop. There was a clear sound of braking. The hearse stopped again. It was Shen Jian who stopped on his own initiative. Because he found his target again. It was a ghost teacher, wearing a robe from the Republic of China period. His facial features were hollow. He was walking stiffly in the deserted county town. His whole body was filled with the air of death, without any breath of living people. "Guest, do you want a ride?" Shen Jian sent out an invitation. The ghost teacher turned around stiffly, his empty features noticed the word Dian on the car, and he took steps and walked slowly towards the car door. A hearse means a ride. However, as soon as he walked in and before he got in the car, he saw a pale, wet hand stretched out from the window and shaking towards him. Vaguely, one of the same kind can be seen shaking its head. That seems to be saying, "Go quickly. This is a black car." The ghost teacher's stiff features twitched. "Stop stepping onto the hearse. Walking the streets again. Guest, it's such a good thing to take a ride, why don't you take it?" Shen Jian was still shouting. The ghost teacher ignored him and still walked stiffly. The drowned ghost looked resentful. "I feel happy that I finally managed to persuade someone of my kind." The old farmer on the side looked at him resentfully. "If you could have waved me away from the car, I would have gone back to the wilderness to be my scarecrow." "Guest? Guest?" Shen Jian continued to shout and followed behind him in a hearse. The ghost teacher took the trouble, stopped, his stiff and hollow facial features turned ferocious, and roared at Shen Jian. "Rolling rough, not sitting, disturbing by mistake." The players trembled. They were afraid that this reasonably good-tempered Gui would suddenly rush into the hearse and bump into them. After being yelled at, Shen Jian's expression became serious. "You dare to yell at me? You dare to yell at people today and kill people tomorrow? You are still a teacher. You are harming others and yourself." Diddy diddy. The hearse stopped again. The front door opens. Shen Jian left the driver's seat and rushed out of the hearse. Old farmer? Drowned ghost? Players. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 14. Outrageous. It's really outrageous. The players were shocked. Someone actually dared to break out of the safe scope of the thriller game plan and enter an unknown ghost county. Didn't he understand the rules summarized in the supernatural circle? The biggest taboo in thriller games is leaving the safe zone. What is a safe zone? A place where they complete their tasks. Although these places are tricky, they are not necessarily fatal. As long as you can understand or avoid the strange killing patterns, you have a chance of surviving. After leaving the safe zone, monsters will not slowly revive. As long as they are encountered, they will definitely be completely revived. Once the killing law is triggered, it will be difficult for gods to save them. But now, Shen Jian rushed out of the hearse. Isn't he afraid that the horror of this monster is beyond what he can handle? What's more, frequent use of the monsters controlled within the body will cause the players to resurrect the evil spirits faster. No one is willing to cause trouble unless it is absolutely necessary. This was their first time meeting someone like Shen Jian. Phew. The cool breeze from outside blew in, making people feel smart. Shen Jian got off the hearse. It feels like a fish in water. The yin energy here is too strong. It's not at the same level as the past life villa. This is a ghost town. A town where only ghosts can live. Is this a scary world? It's hard for living people to survive. Only by gaining a certain identity in the game can you walk like a ghost. Shen Jian made a subconscious judgment. It feels more and more like the world of horror has become a world of its own. It's no different from the underworld. This feeling is very strange. He is obviously the master of the underworld, but there is an inexplicably scary world in the human world that is robbing living people from him. Does he want to replace the underworld and become the second underworld? Was he NTR? Can't bear it. The power of the Lord of Suffering will work and the Minotaur will be killed. There can only be one hell in this world. That little bitch in the horror world must get out. While thinking, Shen Jian has approached the ghost teacher. The ghost teacher also turned around subconsciously and saw the human being rushing out of the hearse. He slowly typed a question mark on the public screen. Why, if I don't get in the car, you're forcing me to get in. Is this a ghost trafficker? He was puzzled, but he still stretched out his hand, took out a test paper from his arms, and handed it to Shen Jian. A ghostly hoarse voice floated faintly in the county. Do you want to do the questions too? Shen Jian was stunned, took the test paper, and glanced at the questions. His face turned dark. Question 1, which part of the human body is the most energetic? Question 2, how to induce humans to trigger the killing pattern to the greatest extent? The densely packed 10 test questions are all about human beings, with the word cannibalism written all over them. This is the first version of the test paper I have published. You should be the first to do it. The ghost teacher took a step forward, the corners of his stiff mouth twitched strangely, and a cold aura emitted from his whole body. This aura contained a rotting corpse smell that made people physically uncomfortable. Shen Jian couldn't help but frown. Just tear up the test paper. Ghost teacher. He was angry. This is a blessing for students and a reflection of his hard work. It was the 10 ultimate soul tortures that he worked hard for many days and nights before racking his brains to write, which will have a vital impact on the student's future. Now it was easily torn apart. He slowly raised his hands that were covered by his robe, dry and stiff, the dark brown corpse skin tightly wrapped around the bones, as if the human bones were coated with a layer of paint. Then he pressed lightly on Shen Jian's temples on both sides. Only. As soon as he stretched out his stiff and dry palm, a black dice appeared in the center. That's a humming dice. You can play a supernatural game with ghosts. Winner takes all. The game started when Shen Jian took out the ghost dice. This is the first time he has used this supernatural prop. The abilities of ghost dice are known to him. Propose a bet that neither party will object to, and use dice to determine the outcome. It's a bet. If I win, the ghost will get in the car and let me take him for a ride. If I lose, I will let the ghost do whatever he wants. Shen Jian made a bet. The ghost teacher stopped and picked up the black dice. This means that Gui acquiesces to this bet. The bet is in effect. The game of life and death begins. The ghost teacher rolled the dice. While the dice was rotating in violation of Newton's first law, it slowly settled on a number, 5. The ghost rolled a 5. Almost a sure win. Shen Jian picked up the dice and squeezed it hard. One side of the hexagon was dented. Then he prayed very seriously, I am the European Emperor, I will definitely throw 6 points. Ghost dice. Big pot, you don't have the spirit of esports anymore. I am dice. Fairness is my principle. I am very principled. Shen Jian threw it away casually. The black dice spins and freezes. 6. It's 6 o'clock. Shen Jian rolled the maximum number of the dice, 6 points. He won. The ghost teacher's breath condensed. The outstretched dry palm slowly lowered itself and walked towards the hearse. That's right. The ability of the ghost dice can make the ghost abide by the bet, and my luck has always been maximal, so it can be used as a regular method. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Ghost dice, as long as you are happy, I have been shaped into your shape by you. The ghost teacher got in the car and was very quiet. Sitting motionless next to the drowned man, he would make no move until the bet was fulfilled. These are the rules of the supernatural game. Even the ghosts need to comply. All the players were shivering and called groups to keep warm. There is nothing they can do, they are afraid. Only 5 of them got on the bus. But there were as many as 6 ghosts on the hearse. In addition to the 3 unlucky ghosts who were hung up, there were also a drowned ghost, a smiling ghost, and a ghost teacher. The scene where the smiling ghost launched a supernatural attack just now left a deep impression on them. It was a supernatural attack that novice players could not resist at all. It was the attack of a fully revived Xiao. Shen Jian also got in the car. Just as I was about to walk to the driver's seat, something unexpected happened. The lights of the hearse suddenly went out, and then the lights in the carriage aisle also began to go out quickly. A wave of darkness instantly began to quickly extend from the front door to the back. Extremely dangerous. The hearse is overloaded, please leave as soon as possible. A line of warning text appears in front of the player. The hearse is overloaded? Isn't it limited to 16 people? Why is it overloaded? Everyone was surprised. They had a clear view before getting in the car. It is written on the body of the hearse that it can only carry 16 people, but now it is only 12 people. Why was it exceeded? Could it be that when the game talks about overload, it means the number of ghosts? Wang Chen swallowed. I remember it was written on the car that the load limit was 16, but there was another sentence at the end that the maximum load limit was 6. The girl with eyes turned pale. If the limit of 16 refers to humans, then the maximum limit of 6 refers to the number of ghosts. The thin young man shook his head. That's not enough to overload. After all, there are only 6 ghosts in the car now. The words have not yet finished. All players were horrified. The hearse, which can withstand 6 ghosts, is overloaded, which means a 7th ghost has sneaked in. But there were only 6 players and 6 ghosts in the entire hearse. In other words, some of their 6 players are ghosts. At this moment, darkness rolled in. The hearse went dark. I couldn't see my fingers, and it was deathly silent. Everyone's fear threshold has been exceeded and adrenaline begins to surge. The 6 players were together in pairs, each of them never leaving their sight. When did they get sneaked in? Whose identity has the ghost replaced? When did it get mixed in? At the thought of this, everyone was scared to death. I just feel like my heart is beating so hard that I want to jump out of my mind. Everyone thinks about it with great fear. On the verge of collapse. Ghost, who is it? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chi Gua. Chapter 15. The hearse was overloaded and plunged into darkness. Some kind of terrifying supernatural being was quietly attacking. Shen Jian was the first to cover the front door. The 3 fully revived ghosts regained their ability to move. Dirty water flowed from the feet of the drowning ghost, and his whole body became wet. Every time he took a step, a clear trail of water would be left on the car, gradually covering the aisle of the carriage. A large number of wheat ears grew on the old farmer's body and turned into a scarecrow. The oozing smile on his face was raging, infecting everyone around him, trying to make everyone smile. The ghost teacher exuded a cold aura, and at the same time, he could smell a lingering faint corpse odor. The pair of dry palms wrapped in dark brown corpse skin that were hidden under the Republic of China robes were slightly raised. He instantly placed it on the nearest Wang Chen's head. At that moment, a wave of coldness hit him. Wang Chen was horrified. In the darkness, he smelled the smell of corpses, and his temples on both sides seemed to be grasped by 5 finger bones. Under great fear, Wang Chen was unconscious. His thinking had stagnated. He didn't know what to think and could only watch all this happen. The rest of the players aren't much better. They couldn't see in the darkness. The corners of his mouth were raised in unison. If you move again, I'll kill you. In the darkness, Shen Jian's cold voice came out. His feet suddenly stepped down. The whole hearse was shaking, the darkness was flickering, the lights were flickering, and some kind of terrible suppression was affecting even the hearse, as if it couldn't bear Shen Jian's anger. Sizzling, sizzling, sizzling. The darkness is fading. The aisle lights came back on, illuminating the entire hearse. The drowned ghost lowered his head quietly and sat on his seat. The scarecrow remained motionless and his infectious laughter ceased. The ghost teacher stood stiffly in the aisle, his withered palms stopped in mid-air, neither letting go nor letting go. He stared at the two similar creatures with a look of resentment on his face. You two are idiots. It slipped away fast enough. My ability in this life is probably all about disguise. The ghost teacher gave an unrecognizable smile and sat back in his seat obediently. Humans are terrible. The test questions he asked may have exceeded the standard. I have to go back and change it? The other players also slumped in their seats at this time. His face was pale and his pupils were still vibrating. They experienced the most horrific supernatural attack in their lives. Between the three fully revived ghosts and the attack from the hearse itself, there was no way to survive. It will kill everyone in an instant. It doesn't matter how high the level is. Because it happened in a split second and I couldn't even react. But someone happened to suppress this terrible attack. Even the curse on the hearse itself was lifted. Words can no longer describe their mood at this moment. 6. On the public screen of the chat interface, rows of SIXs appeared on the screen. This is not a veteran player. This is the Shilpo sword god who managed to reach the full level in Novice Village. Just tighten your thighs. Shout 666 to the boss. As for who the ghost is, does it really matter? Whether ghosts dare to appear or not is a question. Shen Jian sat down again and the hearse started to start. There were no people in the ghost county, and not even a few ghosts were seen. Along the way, there are repetitive buildings. A neat two-story building with a red lantern hanging in front of the door. Soon, the hearse stopped. Stopped at an old cemetery. Next to the cemetery, a building came into view. Xiaoyuan Funeral Home. Everyone's hearts were shocked. Arrive. This is the ultimate place. We have arrived at Xiaoyuan Funeral Home. Please follow the character prompts and answer the deputy director's questions correctly. Task tip: the way out is often hidden in the details. Scarlet Panel confides. Everyone felt relaxed. They have already investigated the contents of the questionnaire. Now it's just a retelling. No matter who you choose, you can answer it perfectly. This damn special copy, I don't want to experience it a second time in my life. The thin young man was frightened for a while. I never want to go through this terrible ordeal a second time. Others couldn't agree more. Only the girl with glasses had an unusual look on her face. What's wrong? The freckled girl asked. I'm thinking about what the number 4 in the prediction clue 3 means. I feel that none of my experiences along the way fit this category. She felt a little heavy. These are the 3 major dangers of the dungeon predicted by supernatural props. But it hasn't appeared until now. This made her a little uneasy. Shen Jian seemed to be thoughtful as he listened, thinking of something. At this moment, a child came over carrying a white lantern. The museum owner has been waiting for you for a long time. An ethereal voice that was not human-like sounded, and everyone was excited. Following the child, he entered the funeral parlor. Shen Jian glanced at this old and dilapidated funeral parlor. Then his eyes moved. Child. The place is full of children carrying white lanterns. After Shen Jian and others entered, countless pairs of eyes focused on them. It's like being trapped in a ghost tide. Everyone was so frightened that their faces turned pale. After Shen Jian was initially moved, he showed a hint of disgust. This owner is acting like a fool. These children are not ghosts at all. They are all paper figures. Make him happy in vain. After walking for a while, the destination was reached. It was a dark hall. There were paper children carrying white lanterns everywhere on both sides. Giggling, giggling. The atmosphere was obviously extremely eerie. At the end, a male paper man wearing a paper shroud appeared. Tell me, how did these people die? How are they related? Where are their bodies? His Aaron's voice was a bit old and lifeless. As soon as his voice fell, a body was carried up by two children. It was Huang Mao who was hanged by a ghost rope. Seeing that Shen Jian was silent, Wang Chen stood up and said, Huang, his wife and mistress died of homicide and was hanged from the beam on the second floor. Paper punched man. Correct answer, next one. It was a female corpse, and the blood-stained ghost skirt fell into silence at this time and was carried up. My wife died of homicide, was corroded by sulfuric acid, and died in the bathtub on the third floor. Next. The paper-cutting words are getting faster and faster. An emaciated male corpse with sunken eyes was presented. Wang Chen continued, husband, died of him. The words have not yet fallen. Shen Jian's hand was already on his shoulder. The sound stopped suddenly. Everyone was stunned. Wang Chen also looked puzzled. But Shen Jian was already minding his own business and said, husband, he committed suicide by taking poison and died in the hotel storage room. Wang Chen. Everyone was shocked. What's the situation? Wasn't it a homicide? Why did it become suicide? This is a thriller game, and there is no chance to go back and do it again. There was a moment of silence in the scene. The children on both sides didn't laugh either. Zhai's Hiren was silent for a while. Correct answer. At this moment, everyone was shocked. A look of horror. Their answer turned out to be wrong. The thin young man looked at the girl with glasses, and everyone looked at the girl with glasses. Because she said this answer. But the answer is wrong. This nearly killed them all. The girl with eyes was also in a trance at this time. Did she know that the clue was wrong? Wrong. The clues are correct. There should indeed have been 3 homicides. The girl with eyes seemed to understand something. She raised her head suddenly and said with a pale face, there is a 4th corpse in the hotel. Buzz. Everyone's scalp was numb. I just felt like my head was roaring with thunder, and it immediately went blank. Hotel, and a 4th body? But they didn't notice it at all. Everything also confirmed that there were indeed only 3 people in the hotel. Only 3 people died. If nothing else, the hotel owner would never dare to lie. Cluck cluck, cluck cluck. At this moment, the children on both sides laughed strangely. Like celebrating. The laughter was shrill and harsh. It seemed like he was gloating and mocking everyone. Zhai's Heron also spoke at this time, his voice was sinister and chuckled. Where's the next one? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chi Gua. Chapter 16. Hey, where's the next one? Giggle, where's the next body? Gee, chew, is there another corpse? Children on both sides of the room held white lanterns and giggled. The laughter was weird and shrill. It's so creepy, just hearing it makes people subconsciously understand that this is not a human being laughing. Instead, some kind of supernatural object is laughing. Very penetrating. As if mocking them all for being wrong. The paper-pricked man is holding his head, and the two painted white pupils are looking at the player as if they are looking at prey, as if they are watching a good show. There's no rush, just think about it slowly. The paper-tied man was also smiling, admiring the prey's final struggle. Giggle, you lose, you want to become part of us. Lost, lost, number 63, number 64, number 65. We have 6 more partners. Chuck, cluck. The voices of the children became more and more cheerful. The light in the hall became darker and darker. Countless paper silhouettes were faintly reflected. Everyone was shaking. The 4th one. There was actually a 4th body in the hotel. The girl with eyes looked dazed. Yes, it turns out that the prop told us from the beginning that there were 4 corpses and 3 homicides. The number 4 in clue 3 refers to the 4th corpse. Where did the 4th body come from? We only found 3. Do the ones who died in the hotel before count? The thin young man tried his best to defend himself, feeling that it was unfair. Because there are no clues about this 4th body. Whoever comes has a result. Thriller game gives them an impossible mission. No, the clues appeared from the beginning, but we subconsciously forgot about them. Is she a pregnant woman? Wang Chen hesitated. Yes, the child in the belly of a pregnant woman is also a corpse. As soon as these words came out, everyone is struck by lightning. His face was ashen, and his face was full of despair. Child, this 4th corpse was actually the child in the pregnant woman's belly. This is indeed the tip given at the beginning. Whether it is the words of the hotel owner or the photos in the storage room, it can be seen that the female corpse has been pregnant for several months and the child in her belly has taken shape. But no one noticed this. The hotel owner's words also led them to preconceptions that only 3 people were dead. If this interference was eliminated, some of them might be able to think of this, but it would be meaningless. There was no way they could return to the hotel to continue their investigation. Answer: how did this last body die, where did it die, and where is the body? The eerie voice of the paper maker echoed. The children's laughter grew louder. The white lantern was swaying, shining on their faces without any color. Tisk, I've been told that I'm the worst at solving puzzles. At this moment, Shen Ji unclicked his tongue and walked out holding a lamp. It was a bright oil lamp. The wick is burning, and the radiation range of the light is no more than 2 meters. The burning lamp oil gave off a pungent corpse odor. The 4th corpse is here. It died of homicide. The body was made into lamp oil, the bones were turned into wicks, and the skin was turned into a lampshade. It was placed in the storage room in the back hall of the hotel. Shen Jian spoke slowly and unhurriedly. Players. Everyone was shocked. That's all if the strength can't be compared. Do they even crush them intellectually now? When did he realize all this? They had also seen Shen Jian taking away the oil lamp before, but they never thought that this would be the 4th corpse. Is this really right? The atmosphere at the scene fell into dead silence at this moment. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the final verdict. Paper-punched man. His smile faltered and his face turned gloomy. True, true, correct. A beep appears. This game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the supernatural funeral parlor copy. All players in this copy will be teleported out after 30 seconds, please pay attention. 30, 29, 28. Live, survive. At this moment, all the players cried with joy. Slumped down. This trip was really dangerous. They looked at Shen Jian with deep gratitude in their eyes. The kind of worship that only follows Shen Jian's lead. They have a firm grip on this thigh. Even when Jesus comes, nothing can stop him. At the moment when the copy was transferred, they all chose the same move. Add friend. Bang bang bang. At this moment, Zhai's Heron also applauded. You are the team with the highest clearance rate. I am looking forward to your next visit. Players. Haha, we are not looking forward to it. This dungeon is too targeted at players and doesn't even give out all the clues. I don't want anyone to pass the level at all. If you join this Xiaoyuan funeral home, how can you survive? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, but do I have to return my loot? Shen Jian pouted. Is this Thriller Game's fix of his previously broken copy? Why do I have to send it back directly after answering the question? He also wanted to stay and explore this ghost county. Moreover, this paper-cut person really deserves a beating. He has wanted to beat him up for a long time. Paper-punched man? As the words fell, 3 red ghost ropes fell out of thin air. 3 bodies were hoisted. Oh, by the way, I took the hearse with me too. Just think of it as my reward for joining the company. The paper-struck person is still confused. The 6 Shenjian people have disappeared. Master, Master, our travel tools are gone. Countless children screamed. Paper-punched man. He silently left the funeral home and saw that the hearse that was supposed to be parked at the door had disappeared. He is autistic. Are today's human beings already so brave? This game has ended. Congratulations on completing the copy of Supernatural Funeral Parlor. Rating, S. Props obtained, Ghost Rope. Experience gained, 500%. Note, you have been promoted to level 10. Item obtained, Thriller Coin * 1000. Earn special rewards, Senior Funeral Director, can be promoted. Note, you have started the phase tasks of the funeral parlor to solve the problem of difficult recruitment of funeral parlors. You can be promoted to Deputy Director. Real world. Looking at the words displayed on the panel, Shen Jian raised his eyebrows slightly. This phased mission is a bit interesting. Senior Master of Ceremonies, Deputy Director, and Owner are similar to inheriting the real estate of the villa of the past. But it is another task that cannot be completed in a short time. Moreover, the difficulty of this copy is obviously much higher than that of the past life villa. They are both 1-star dungeons, but the difficulty is also different. The greater the difficulty, the greater the reward. When he thought about the gains from this trip, Shen Jian's thoughts of beating people disappeared. He said goodbye to Wang Chen. Returned to the rental house. Netherworld. The room loses its color. A dark brown passage appeared. Hades. Yama Hall. Shen Jian released the harvest of this trip. A ghost rope, a blood-stained ghost skirt, and a male corpse. There are also drowned ghosts, smiling ghosts, and ghost teachers. And a hearse with the word Dion on it. After entering the underworld, the male corpse also underwent rapid changes. His body, which had no wounds, began to show spots. Then the surface muscles of the corpse seemed to turn into pus, flowing toward the mouth. It's like a corpse eating its own body. In the end, only a child's doll was left. Shen Jian picked it up. Tricky thing, a man-eating doll. Another supernatural prop. Is this special copy specifically designed to provide players with rich combat options? 3 corpses and 3 supernatural props. Even the oil lamp on the 4th corpse has the effect of attracting evil spirits. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Then he looked at the 3 gooies who had their heads lowered and seemed a little acclimated. One spit out dirty water and was all wet. One has a bloated body, wears a straw hat, and looks stupid. One moves stiffly, with human bones wrapped in corpse skin. Tisk, the image is too bad. I don't see any use. The underworld will not accept it? Forget it, go to the 18th level of hell and enjoy the blessings. Sly. Wait, we can still be saved. The ghost teacher took out an identification card. Special props, Star Teacher. Note, equipping this card will give you a gold medal teacher status, but please note that you must have real materials. Huh? Is this a bribe? Are you using this kind of thing to test the king of hell? Which king of hell can't withstand such a test? Shen Jian raised his eyebrows and his tone was a little serious. The ghost teacher has given 5,000 horror coins as a gift. Shen Jian. Not to mention, this test is a bit severe. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 17. Yama Hall. A 3D holographic projection of 18 levels of hell emerged. The first level of hell can be customized. Weird monsters currently detected: drowned ghost, smiling ghost. Shen Jian clicked on the first floor. The gray space stretches as far as the eye can see. Two ghosts walked aimlessly on the first level of hell. In the traditional 18 levels of hell, each level has a clear division of labor. The first level is tongue-pulling hell. Specially punish those who sow dissension, have smooth tongues, and clever words. Neither the drowned ghost nor the smiling ghost fit this point. But now the underworld is prospering with all kinds of wastes, and everything needs to be kept simple. It's enough to be punished, don't ask for too much. Shen Jian had a thought. A hearse suddenly appeared on the first level of hell. The ghost teacher sat in the driver's seat, stepped on the accelerator, and the hearse suddenly took off. He ran straight towards the two ghosts. Drowned ghost. I'm super, you old man. He ran away, followed by a hearse. He ran away, he chased, but they couldn't escape. As the drowned ghost was knocked away, a wisp of yin energy was collected. Evil deeds -1. Pain and max. Infernal aspect, yin chi add 1. The first level of hell, hearse hell, set. Second level of hell, unlockable. Unlocking conditions, 10 or more monsters with bad karma. After solving the problem of the 18 hells, Shen Jian returned to the rental house. He opened the game panel, and rows of data appeared. Player, King Yama. Level, 10. Identity, King of Hell. Ability, Ghost Pressure, Senluo Ghost Energy. Strength, 30, the limit for ordinary people is 10. Speed, 30. Yin Chi, 400. Thriller Coin, 9,300. Weird Objects, Ghost Dice, Ghost Rope, Ghost Skirt, Man-Eating Doll. Note: the player has reached level 10 and is out of the rookie stage. The next dungeon will be an advanced dungeon. After clearing this dungeon, you can open the 2-star dungeon difficulty and go to the horror world. Dungeon Countdown, 35:00. 2S level evaluations have reached level 10. I am out of the novice stage, which is not bad. Shen Jian nodded. I especially noticed the last sentence on the panel: you can go to the horror world. The ghost county he drove through in the copy of the supernatural funeral parlor should be a certain location in the horror world. The yin chi there is very strong and not suitable for living people to survive. Only by obtaining an identity certificate in the horror world can one walk safely like a ghost. This is a place that Shen Jian is very interested in. He speculated that the horror world may have become a world of its own and turned into another kind of underworld. As the orthodox king of hell of the underworld, he wanted to conduct an on-the-spot investigation. Bring back some souvenirs. When it comes to doing business, he is serious. The next day, Shen Jian was lying on the sofa. A soft, boneless hand gently pressed on the forehead, and strands of long black hair hung down. The breeze blew, disturbing people's hearts. Nothing to do today, just listen to music. Watch Miss Mary's dress-up show. Sailor uniform, maid uniform, stewardess uniform, leather show. The long and slender legs are covered by yin chi, giving them a vague sense of mystery. Cell phones no longer smell good. He understood a question that had always puzzled him. Aren't they boring when there were no mobile phones in ancient times? Certainly not boring. Listening to music is one of the great joys of life. Even more advanced, there are girls from the Jia Shifang who recite poems and compose poems, which are elegant, really elegant. Cell phone? Dregs. Jingle bell. The cell phone rings. Shen Jian took a look. It's not a supernatural call, it's boring. He picked it up casually. Hello, is this a supernatural detective agency? I suspect there is a ghost in our company. On the phone, there came the timid voice of a little girl, as if she was speaking in a lowered voice. Shen Jian was stunned. Only then did I remember that I still had a job. On the eve of graduation from college, the system was activated. After searching for a month but unable to find ghosts, he chose to join a supernatural detective agency, hoping to find ghosts in this way. However, the results can be imagined. No grains harvested. Unexpectedly, he resigned and someone called him. Oh, he remembered. He secretly copied many small advertisements to promote himself. Hello, is anyone around? The voice came again on the phone, with a more nervous tone. I'm here, keep talking. Shen Jian replied casually. I'm not kidding, there really is a ghost in our company. Ever since a colleague played a psychic game, 2 of them have died in 3 days. They were all participants in the psychic game at that time. The female voice on the phone sounded panicked. Shen Jian frowned and became serious. This is interesting. Since he joined the paranormal detective agency, he has received many similar comments every day, but this is the first time that someone has actually died. As for the psychic game, this is also a controlling existence to a certain extent. Especially the protagonist, Bai Xian. Tied with Sadako and Kayako. They are the 3 regular protagonists of horror movies. Let's meet and chat in person. Shen Jian hung up the phone, his eyes bright. His card-collecting soul is burning. According to the location, Shen Jian quickly arrived at an office building. I met the real owner under the awning. An OL girl, her face was pale, as if she was just recovering from a serious illness. He looked around nervously. You are Cai Minmin on the phone. Shen Jian approached and found that the girl was obviously frightened and looked highly nervous in broad daylight. Are you from the paranormal detective agency? Do you believe me? Those people don't believe me and think I have a mental problem. Cai Minmin cried and told what happened. Shen Jian also had a general understanding of the situation. 3 days ago, Cai Minmin and 3 other colleagues worked overtime until night, and they happened to think of playing a psychic game. The ceremony went smoothly at first. I didn't encounter anything strange, but when I started asking Bixian questions, the pen really moved. One of the female colleagues stopped the game because she was scared. Then nothing happened. But just 2 days ago, the scared female colleague committed suicide. Hang yourself in the room. On the day of the incident, someone noticed that the female colleague was in a trance and acting clumsily, but they did not take it seriously. 1 day ago, another male colleague who played the Bixian game also died. He committed suicide by jumping off the building. The symptoms are exactly the same as those of a female colleague who hanged herself. He was distracted, his reaction was a beat slower, as if he was pressed down on the bed by a ghost, his face was very ugly. Only then did Cai Minmin realize the seriousness of the matter. She went for help, but was deemed insane. Then I thought of various folk gods and called them according to the number on the small advertisement. The little advertisement I posted actually works. This was Shen Jian's first thought. There is indeed a ghost. This is a second thought. It wasn't that he believed Cai Minmin's words, but that he sensed the yin qi. Only the weirdness itself has its own yin energy. In the real world, there are actually ghosts. It was obvious that he had never heard of it a few months ago. Even if it is a strange recovery, is this too sudden? After all, When he joined the paranormal detective agency, the most common information he heard was about playing psychic games and breaking into haunted houses. However, he judged that they were all false. This time it was for real. Horror games have begun to invade the Yangtze? Shen Jian looked serious. This little bishai, how can he move so fast? His underworld is still in ruins, and the horror world is already planning to invade. This won't work. There can only be one underworld in the Yang world. How can one woman serve two husbands together? The yellow hair is thick and thick. Besides you, there is another male colleague alive, right? Shen Jian asked. Right. Then let's go. Cai Min Min? She subconsciously said, where to go? Of course I'm going to play Pen Fairy. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 18. In a blink of an eye, it was 12 o'clock in the evening. Inside the company's office building, a programmer was sitting in the lounge, looking a little uneasy. He is another survivor of the pen game. At this time, he looked at his phone anxiously and murmured, "Why haven't you come yet? Didn't you say that you have found someone who can help us? Do you want to meet at the company at 12 o'clock tonight?" Tap tap tap. At this moment, a burst of footsteps sounded. In such a silent environment, the sudden sound of footsteps was terrifying. The programmer was startled and stared outside the lounge. Crunch. The door was pushed open. A young man walked in. He was about 20 years old, with short black hair and three-dimensional facial features. His wrist was wrapped with a hemp rope. The hemp rope was so bright red that it seemed to be stained with blood, which added a bit of horror to people. His name is Shen Jian and he is a master. Cai Min Min walked out from behind and introduced. Hello, hello, I have long admired the name of the master, the programmer echoed. No matter whether he is a master or not, the one who is willing to believe in them at this time is his savior. Because of this incident, they can hardly stay in the company anymore. If this continues, sooner or later, heart failure will occur. Shen Jian nodded. Glancing at the two of them, the programmer's yin energy was heavier. Is this marking the target? Without some of the restrictions of horror games, weird is indeed freer. Is this an example? Or is there a strange recovery happening around the world? Shen Jian was thoughtful. He said, have you brought all the props? Bring it. Cai Min Min nodded and took out pencils, white paper, candles and other props. Programmer. Wait, what are you planning to do? The programmer was confused and his voice became much sharper. Shen Jian said strangely, can't you see? You are playing the Pen Fairy game. The programmer is speechless. Who asked this question? What I'm asking is, how dare you still play? Aren't you afraid of death? That's a ghost. Brother, I know you are a master, but does this kind of ghost-catching matter have to be left to a more professional master? The programmer is about to cry. He already had a shadow of these things. That's me, wait a minute. Shen Jian thought for a while and took out a card from his arms. The programmer took a look and said, Feng Shui Master. Wrong, it's this one. Shen Jian handed over another one. Certified by Longhu Mountain, Gold Medal Master of Catching Tricks. You can rest assured now. Programmer. I'm even more worried. I bet you are just a little card master. While talking, Cai Min Min had already laid out the props. Shen Jian looked at the hesitant programmer and said calmly, you have to think clearly. The yin energy in you has exceeded the limit. At most, you will end up like the first two people by tomorrow night. The programmer's face turned even paler. After much hesitation, I decided to continue playing. Because he had noticed something abnormal in his body. As the candles were lit, three figures emerged from the darkness. Under the flickering lights, Their faces looked a little scary. Bixian, Bixian. The two began to chant silently according to the content of the ceremony. Shen Jian stood aside, watching with an old look. It's not that he doesn't want to play by himself, it's just that he can't play. No matter how he is still the lord of the underworld and the king of hell of the 10 palaces. He summons the pen immortal. Does the pen immortal dare to come out? Aha! Vaguely, a gust of wind blew by. The candle flame was shaking violently, as if it might go out at any moment. Their voices stopped abruptly. Coming. The pen fairy is here. The two of them were horrified and completely panicked. I don't know ghosts and gods, but I pretend they don't exist. Once known, fear will be infinitely magnified. All disturbances will make them suspicious. Master, what should we do now? Cai Min said in panic. Haven't you all played before? Ask questions. Shen Jian was a little puzzled. According to the rules of the Bixian game, you need to ask 3 questions related to Bixian before you can ask yourself. We don't dare. The two of them trembled. Because the 2 people who died before were the ones who asked Bixian questions one after another. Forget it, I'll do it. Shen Jian curled his lips. He had never experienced a thriller game and his psychological quality was only at the level of ordinary people. He really couldn't think of them as reliable. Shen Jian looked at the pencil and asked casually. Bixian, have you paid off your mortgage? In an instant, the whole place fell into dead silence. The two of them opened their mouths wide, feeling how tricky and vicious this question was. So vicious. This question simply goes deep into the soul. A critical hit on them. They didn't know whether Bixian reacted, but they felt like an arrow had been hit in their chests at that moment. Swish, swish, swish. At this time, the pencil also stood up from the table and slowly drew a question mark on the white paper. I'm just a ghost, you ask me if I've paid off my mortgage. Is this normal? You seem to have that serious illness. However, Shen Jian didn't care about this, he continued to output. Have you paid off your car loan? Have you purchased life accident insurance? Have you saved enough for your pension? Have your children signed up for tutoring classes? Each torture comes from the soul, hitting the depths of the soul. Bixian was completely confused. The erected pencil began to shake violently. To get out of the hands of 2 people. The originally weak candle flame was extinguished instantly. The 2 of them wanted to cry but had no tears. It's over, it's over. This immortal capital is so violent. Click. At a certain moment, the pencil held by the 2 men broke. Broken in 2. In the darkness, a ghostly figure suddenly appeared. Dressed in red, with disheveled hair, he stood quietly on the table with a broken pen. It has no legs and is floating there like a ghost. Ah! The 2 people, who were already frightened, went blank at this moment, and then screamed repeatedly. Ghost, ghost. The 2 squatted in the corner, too frightened to raise their heads. That is really the pen fairy, a ghost. Who is not afraid? Oh, master is not afraid. He stood quietly, admiring the pen fairy. Hey, the master moved. He walked towards Bixian. The programmer swallowed. He finally plucked up the courage and said, Master, that's tricky and dangerous. Shen Jian clicked his tongue and praised, you are still too young. You don't know how good a pen artist is when you are young, and you mistake a girl for a treasure. Come, raise your head and let me see how it looks. Shen Jian said as he walked. Grandmaster. Please take away your magical powers and stop irritating her, otherwise none of us will be able to escape. The programmer is already paralyzed. Are you really brave enough to take maternity leave? Even ghosts dare to tease them, and they will cry. Bixian? She raised a question mark again. Who exactly has the problem here? Why isn't this human afraid of her? Bai Xian was confused. Forget it, if you're not afraid of her, why can't she control this human being? No. Don't come over. Bixian retreated and wanted to escape. However, Shen Jian forcefully pinched his mouth and lifted it up, revealing a pretty face that was overly aggrieved and sad. The beauty in red is a ghost. Excellent image, congratulations on passing. Shen Jian let go of Bixian and smiled. Then he took out an exquisite blood-stained red dress from his body. That is also a trick. Ghost skirt. It will be randomly worn on a nearby person and revived. Shen Jian originally planned to give it to Sadako, but Sadako was not suitable for such colorful clothes. Miss Mary didn't need a set dress either. After much thought, Shen Jian decided to put it on Bixian. This will be a combination of two tricks. Perhaps it should be said that it is completing the puzzle and forming the ghost body. It must be controlled by one party before it ends. Come, take off this one and put on the new clothes I specially prepared for you. Shen Jian spoke softly. The blood-stained ghost skirt struggled in his hands, trying to revive. Bixian. Don't come over. Programmer. I'm super, are you playing so perverted? Where is the morality? Where is the bottom line? Where is the dignity? Where to invest? Where are the tickets? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 19. In the dark lounge. A bad story of bullying men and women is going on. They swore that they would never think that ghosts could be bullied in their entire lives. That's just like a bully teasing good women on the street and forcing them into prostitution. But in fact, that good woman is a trickster. It's a pen fairy. But bullies are human. Senseless. Everyone was confused. Brother, your style of painting is wrong. In fact, you are not a human being. At the same time, Shen Jian was already approaching with the ghost skirt in hand. Be good, come down, this dress suits you better. Shen Jian waved, calling Bixian to come over. Bixian. Bixian looked at the red clothes on his body and then at the alluring ghost skirt, feeling a little moved. What female ghost doesn't love beauty? What's more, you can control a ghost jigsaw to enhance the level of terror. But she is an expert in pen writing and does not eat the food she comes to. She held her head high, showing that she had such backbone. He was resisting Shen Jian's violence and proving himself. The female spy will never be a slave. I understand. Do you want me to help you put it on? No problem. Shen Jian thought for a while and suddenly realized. So the pace quickened. Bixian? Brother, your perspective on understanding the meaning is quite novel. Bixian puffed up his mouth, turned around and jumped off the table without saying a word, and ran away. Oh, it's fun, I like it. Faced with Bixian's attitude of wanting to welcome but refusing, Shen Jian decided to satisfy him. Darkness is the best place for shadow tricks. Under the hazy moonlight, the shadow behind him was elongated, as if another figure was appearing, breaking away from the shackles of the plane, and then countless dark ghost hands stretched out and grabbed Bixian. He quickly captured him and pushed him to the ground. The limbs are separated by 4 ghost hands, showing a big character. Whoa! Bixian struggled desperately, but Yinggui's terror level was far higher than hers. The moment she was caught, she lost her ability to move and could only twist her body feebly. And Shen Jian also leaned down and put on new clothes for Bixian. Woo! Mom, I'm not clean anymore. The cries of the evil spirits were so resentful that I almost felt pity for them. Like a civilian girl unable to resist a bully, she could only sob softly. Programmer. Why do I feel that Bixian is a bit pitiful? The two of them stared at the scene in a daze. Although they couldn't see clearly in the dark, they could still imagine a scene in which men bullied men and women were bullied, and men were superior to women. They couldn't help but grin. I feel like all three perspectives are shattered. After a stick of incense, Shen Jian stood up, admiring his own masterpiece. In the darkness, a new pen fairy appears in the hazy atmosphere. The red dress was gone, replaced by a blood-stained red skirt. The red skirt itself was very large and not suitable for the slender pen fairy, but after putting it on, it fit perfectly, as if it fit tightly together. The style of the red skirt has also undergone some subtle changes, becoming more in line with Bixian's temperament and giving it a sense of mystery. The blood dripping from the hem of the skirt stopped under Bixian's control. Bixian is naturally suited to the color red. The red dress fit her like never before. It gives people a special feeling. This ghost skirt seems to have been dismembered from Bixian's body. Shen Jian was a little surprised. After controlling another ghost, the yin qi in Bixian's body really strengthened. Turned into a ghost in white. This is the first white-clothed ghost around Shen Jian. It is a puzzle of two ghosts. Yin qi add 3. In just 5 minutes, the yin energy in Shen's body became stronger. The effect of one ghost is comparable to the effect of 3 ordinary monsters. This gave Shen Jian some new ideas. The red ghost rope on his wrist was put on Bixian, but the level of terror did not increase. Because it's my supernatural prop and Bixian doesn't control it, so it doesn't count as a puzzle. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Found a new way for yin qi to grow. In the future, I will try to dismember the ghost and let Bixian control it to see if I can cultivate a complete ghost. If there were 180 such ghosts, wouldn't his yin qi increase at a rapid rate? Master, is it over yet? After a long time, the programmer dared to speak out, carefully lowering his voice. Because the pen fairy is still there, its appearance is even clearer than when it was just summoned. That red dress was unusually eye-catching in the darkness. If they couldn't see Bixian's feet, they would probably think that this was someone playing a prank on Bixian. It's over. Next time you encounter something like this, remember to call me and I will come to serve you personally. When the two of them heard this, their faces turned dark. And next time? Dogs don't even play psychic games. By the way, do you know who made you start playing this game? Shen Jian said casually. The two of them felt a thump in their hearts. Is there something wrong with this? No, it's just that the pen you use to play the pen fairy has yin energy on it. It is a medium. Once you use it to play psychic games, it will be easy to summon ghosts. The two stumbled a few steps, their faces turning pale. It seemed that he had thought of some conspiracy. That pen, I remember it was on the boss's desk. Cai Min whispered. Well, then please tell your boss. If you know any clues, please call me. After Shen Jian said that, he turned and left. He is not a gossip paparazzi and has no interest in knowing this. Give him a business card, and if you encounter a ghost, you will call him. But does he have to consider charging? It didn't matter that there were no ghosts before, but now it's obvious that the horror world is invading the Yang world, with strange resurgences and mysterious arrivals. He specializes in catching tricks, so charging a fee is normal. The majestic lord of the underworld, the king of hell, also needs to improve his life. Return to your residence. Shen Jian thought again and gave the man-eating doll out for Bixian to control. That was the evil parasitized by the corpse of the suffering master in the copy of the funeral parlor. The entire doll has no facial features, except for a red mouth painted with red dye on its face, revealing a strange smile. Tricks, man-eating dolls. Introduction: do you want to play the 1-2-3 wooden man, lose the kind that combines two into one. Note, please don't turn your back to it, it will open its mouth at any time. This strange killing pattern is not as easy to trigger as the ghost skirt and ghost rope, but it is not difficult either. Shen Jian has tested that as long as his back is turned to the man-eating doll, it will revive on its own and swallow anything facing away from it. It is an uncontrollable supernatural prop. Even the user himself is at risk at any time. Bixian took over the man-eating doll, and the doll itself integrated into Bixian's body, and the yin qi grew again. This is the second trick controlled by Bixian. The level is still that of a white-clothed ghost, but the level of terror has reached the level of the cracked girl in the villa of the past. In Shen Jian's eyes, Bixian became more and more charming. The curved lips are naturally charming, but the pupils are indifferent. Even if she looks at someone with a smile, it will be difficult for people to distinguish whether they are in her eyes or not. This is a rare sense of mystery. It makes people want to dig deeper into this dry well, find a spring, and turn the dry well head into a water well. As the creator of all this, Shen Jian explored in depth. Study and study. Don't get me wrong, he is looking for Bixian's murder pattern. As a fierce ghost with two ghost puzzles, Bixian's killing pattern is difficult to trigger. Although the terror level is high, it is a less dangerous one. Even the ghost dice are more dangerous than Bixian. Thinking like this, Shen Jian gave the ghost dice to Bixian again. The level of terror is one level higher. More clingy. Wandering from the mountain peaks to the woods. In this delicate exploration, the countdown to the horror game is gradually decreasing. Countdown, 00:00. Welcome back to the thriller game. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigua. Chapter 20. The countdown is over, welcome back to the thriller game. No matter what words make a man's heart flutter, this is the answer. Shen Jian lay on the milk-scented pillow and watched the game countdown clear. The player has reached level 10 and the star upgrade copy is opened. Loading. A sufficient number of players have been detected. The game officially begins. Copy, the terrifying college entrance examination day. Content, after 10 years of hard study, no one will ask, and once you are famous all over the world, the deepest obsession in the world is the examination paper. Please take it seriously, otherwise you will be torn apart by resentment. Number of players, 10 people. Main mission, survive for 1 day and be named on the gold list. Friendly reminder, don't run around, it's very dangerous. Difficulty, 1 star. Confidence in scarlet font. Everything before my eyes suddenly changed. Open your eyes again. Shen Jian has appeared in the school corridor. Task reminder, the exam will start in 30 minutes. Please enter the exam room in an orderly manner. Glancing at the panel, Shen Jian began to look around. The rules of the thriller game are actually very simple. The more copies there are, the higher the difficulty. For a 1-star dungeon, the number of participants is generally around 4 to 6 people. The difficulty of the 10-player dungeon is already close to 2 stars. The matching mechanism is very reasonable. Games like MOBA are like this. In the promotion round, 1 low-level player is matched with 4 high-level players, which is no different from Tribulation. Apparently, he encountered this situation. Half of the 9 players around him are above level 10. The highest one reached level 16. He is a tall man in his 30s. The ID is Instructor Fang. There was also a woman with a sharp expression, looking around warily, with a rather heroic appearance. She was also about 30 years old, slightly mature, and her ID was Mumu. The level is also as high as 15. The two looked like they were together, wearing the same black windbreaker. Also observing others. A professional player who has received professional training, but also has yin qi in his body, is he a so-called ghost master? Shen Jian said to himself, making some guesses. Compared with the nervousness and even panic of others, these two people have such a unique temperament. It's over, there are 10 people in the 1-star dungeon. This is the difficulty level. I haven't touched a test paper in 20 years. What I learned has already been returned to nature. There are only a few dungeons related to the ghost school. This crazy college entrance exam day paranormal forum seems to have never appeared before. It is a brand new dungeon. Now that we have completely finished the game, a new dungeon means that everything needs to be explored again, and the survival rate is very low. Outside the corridor, there was wailing. Most players are terrified. Some of them are even only level 7. When they enter this most difficult 1-star dungeon, their faces are already ashen. Keep calm and listen to me carefully. It could save your life. At this time, the male instructor in the windbreaker stood up. First, any copy has rules. As long as you abide by the rules of the thriller game, it is not difficult to survive to the end. Second, don't try to get closer to ghosts. In the eyes of ghosts, we are food. Third, don't rely on some special props to run around or even provoke monsters. This will cause a lot of unexpected troubles. Finally, we are a member of Daxia. You can trust us and contact us after finishing the game. We have a specially established training institution for horror game players, which will greatly enhance your survival rate. Instructor Fang talked a lot in one breath. All players seemed to have seen a savior. It turned out to be an official person. Very good. If you have any questions at that time, you can communicate through the chat interface. After saying that, Instructor Fang entered the examination room. Seeing this, others followed suit. Shen Jian also followed in. He saw the player standing at the door with a pale face. Take a closer look. Eyes moving. Oops, it's a heart-pounding feeling. The examination room was not just for players, it was densely packed with students, most of whom lowered their heads gloomily and looked so pale that no trace of blood could be seen on their faces. Obviously, except for the 10 players, all the other candidates in the examination room are cheating. They have to take the exam with GUI. It's scary to think about it. This is a great challenge to people's psychological endurance. If one is not good, he may not even be able to concentrate. It's so scary. It is detected that all players have entered the venue, please collect the test papers. The scarlet panel seemed to be a reminder. All players followed the requirements and came to their seats with their test papers. Everyone is separated. It's all treacherous all around. Without exception, the seats were covered with splatters of blood, as if someone had been brutally killed many times in the past. The players sat down timidly. On the podium, 2 teachers, a man and a woman, were checking the number of people. There is an invigilator sign hanging on the chest. The exam officially begins and lasts 1 day. Task tips: the exam is divided into 2 sessions, with a break in the middle. Note: don't run around, it's very dangerous. With a strange bell ringing, the game officially begins. The players began to study the exam papers. His pupils began to dilate, his breathing became rapid, and he became visibly panicked. Question 1. Which part of the human body is the most energetic? Question 2. How to induce humans to trigger the killing pattern to the greatest extent? Question 3. Which food in the canteen is the most nutritious? Question 4. How many gold medal teachers are there in the college? Question 5. What is the name of the school? All the players' faces turned green. What the hell is this topic? Isn't this purely targeting players? Who knows which kind of food in the cafeteria is the most nourishing, and who knows how many gold medal teachers there are? These are very simple questions in the eyes of the tricky students, but they are all fatal questions for the players. It's an answer that requires searching everywhere to find out. However, there is only one break in the middle. In other words, they must answer all the questions on the exam paper during the break, which is very tight and may only last a few hours. It is almost impossible to find the answers to 10 questions in such a short time. There are only choices. Try to investigate some easy-to-answer questions. Their requirements are not high, as long as they can be on the list. For a time, it was gloomy and gloomy. All players can only wait and endure the torture from their souls. In the aisles on both sides, 2 invigilators, one male and one female, were constantly moving around, which added a bit of psychological burden to the players. Even the 2 professional players felt heavy at the moment. In contrast to this, was Shen Jian's strange expression. This exam paper looked a bit familiar to him. Like I've seen it somewhere. If you think about it carefully, isn't this the test question that the ghost teacher gave him in the first place? Although he tore it apart, he still remembered the test questions inside. It was exactly the same as the test paper in front of me. This copy is in the ghost county? Is the ghost teacher also a member of this instance? Just as he was thinking about it, Shen Jian took out an identification card. Special props, Star Teacher. Introduction: equip this card and you will become a gold medal teacher in the school and be respected by others. Note, it can take effect. Huh? Is it effective? At this moment, Shen Jian's eyes changed. Become a good teacher. Shen Gold Medal Teacher full of teacher ethics, healthy, online.